Monday, and it's time to look at the big things happening with our money this week. Our financial analyst Steve Budin is here with this week's financial focus. And we got a couple of hot topics to talk about. First, the big Federal Reserve meeting, which takes place tomorrow and Wednesday, right?
Yeah, this is an interesting, the last Federal Reserve meeting before the election, so we don't expect much to happen. Now, remember, the Federal Reserve is in charge of interest rates, short-term interest rates. So they can determine what your mortgage rate can be, what your auto loan rate could be, what your credit card rate could be.
Big deal.
It's a pretty big deal. Yeah, and they're going to meet this week to decide if they want to raise interest rates. And I don't think they'll raise with the election just 50 days away, but the commentary that they give will be indicative of what they might do in December. After the election, they may feel the time is right to raise interest rates a little bit, and there's plenty of debate inside the markets what they will do. So you could see some bumpy roads in the next couple of weeks, depending on what the Fed says on Wednesday when they end their meeting and then they release their commentary and their notes.
Yeah, and it's always something to watch and listen to, but we don't think there's anything huge because of the election.
Yeah. Historically, the Fed doesn't do much in election years, so I don't think this will be any different.
All right, another hot topic we've been talking about, obviously, a lot here on the news is what's going on with Wells Fargo and Mylan, which is the EpiPen that the company that actually produces those that has raised the price so much. So let's first talk about Wells Fargo.
Well, we all reported on what's happening with Wells Fargo, the sales quotas for credit cards and other accounts. Now, if you're the CEO of the company, you never like to be called in front of Congress. Right. If you're an investor in the company, you never want your company's stock. If you're a stockholder, you don't want the company called in front of Congress. Usually it's not a good thing. So these hearings can drag on. Wells Fargo might pay a penalty. They already have settled some cases, but you just never know where it ends. So that's what leads to the uncertainty. And Mylan, which is the company that made those EpiPens that folks can use for the anti-allergenics.
Like $600
and they raised the price substantially, where overseas it's substantially cheaper. And I've said for a long time that the health insurance market in this country really isn't a fair competitive market. There's all kinds of roadblocks, and this is just an example. And again, Congress will try to get to the bottom of why it costs twice as much to get that same instrument here as overseas. Again, if you're an investor, you never like to see this. It just adds to more uncertainty, but congressional hearings are never good.
Yeah, it's important to a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right, let's quickly talk about the Nevada jobless rate. It's gone down, which is good news for us.
Great news. We're still a little bit above the national average, but nothing too concerning. But the rate is still down into the mid-sixes, from 6.9 to 6.6 year over year. It's always good when it goes down. Now remember, how you calculate the jobless rate is a whole nother issue. It doesn't count people not looking for work, but anytime it goes down, it's pretty good. And if we had more trades in town, home builders that I speak to are desperate for framers, electricians, plumbers, things like that. I think the rate would be even lower. But it's a good statement on our economy that the rate goes down. So good news.
All right, love it. Thank you, Steve, so much for coming on. And we'll have Steve back here next Monday. For now, we're going over to Greg and Todd.